Okay, so finally have a break in the rain, and I've been waiting to get to this cherry tree for a long time. I had repotted it last year, and at a time where I didn't really know as much as well, I still don't know very much, but as much as I know now, I know that I should not have planted it in such wet soil. One of the things that I did that a lot of people pointed out in the comments was the moss that I used when I took this air layering. I had teased it out from the roots when I was repotting it last year, but I didn't discard it. I basically thought, wow, the soil is good enough, and I thought the moss wasn't bad for it. But I've noticed this year that, or over the last year, that it's been growing these conchs, these fruiting bodies from a fungus, and obviously that is bad news for this tree. A lesson learned, perhaps. I think one of the things that's kind of problematic with taking such a large air layer is that I felt I had to make these massive cuts to bring the tree down into the right size. And of course, that means that there's a lot of wood that is potentially rotting, and there was a lot of surface area to allow that fungus to get in there. All bad things. I think obviously I don't want to give up on this. This is my first air layer, and it's quite a nice tree when it blooms, although this year I'm not sure if it actually is going to bloom. Maybe one up here, or a couple. But obviously I don't want to give up on it, and so I'm going to get it out of this wet soil, put it in an inorganic mixture of lava and pumice. I'm going to get rid of all the wet moss and wet soil and see if it can survive, and maybe this area here will die. I don't think I see any fungus growing lower, so if it stops there, that's good. Or maybe it will kill the tree. I have to wait and see. But for now, we'll get it out of the soil and see how it does this year, if it survives even the year. Maybe it will last many years, and eventually this will be a problem, but we have to try and find out. Really glad the sun came out for this. Oh, nice. Came out easy. I've had a habit of dropping trees off the table the last few videos, so I had to look back just for a moment and see if I was going to do that. Let's put it in here. I do want to be careful of these branches. There's probably the occasional flower about to bloom there, although I guess it doesn't matter. Get it next year. Yeah, so here's some of that sphagnum moss from when I did the air layering, and I just left that in there foolishly. So much wet moss down there. Now the other thing is this has a massive stump still below the surface, which I'll be wanting to get rid of. No sign of growth on these roots yet. They really don't look that happy. They're not rotten. Well, they're not rotten, but they're also not doing much. Up here I saw some new growth. Perhaps just too wet below. So good to see the sun. It's been raining for, feels like weeks. Except for one clear night, which I think killed the tree that I worked on last video. Well, I don't know if it did, but there was a lot of leaf buds that don't look happy right now. So I'm definitely worried that it was too cold. I wonder actually, all of these roots, some of them actually look like they're rotting. And so maybe this tree is already dead and hasn't told the leaf buds yet. That would be a shame. But I guess that's the price I pay for not having it in proper soil. Okay, a couple of little growing tips there. And so here is that stump from when I air layered this off the tree. And that is rotting away as well. I want to cut that out today. Soundtrack today is provided by my neighbor. Believe that is their son playing. So yeah, when I repotted this last year, I thought that I wasn't sure about whether I should have taken the stump out from the bottom. I think most people, well, maybe there's only one or two people who commented, but basically saying, yeah, you should take out the stump. Maybe some of that led to the fungal infection. I don't really know. Right? So all of this I want to take off. Is that in the frame? Kind of here. And in fact, this bark has been removed right to there. I don't know if I can quite cut it back to that point. But of course, if I could, it might be nice. Still some moss in there. Almost looks like fresh moss. It's crazy. It's really hasn't changed much. Hasn't been rotting, but obviously has been keeping everything else very moist and wet when I don't want it to be. I would have thought I had got most of this out last year, but apparently not. Now I need to think about how I can position this for cutting. There's a large root here you might want to preserve, and here maybe I want to cut downwards so I can place the I don't know if I can actually get the saw through there without damaging some of these larger roots. Alright. Sawzall time. I almost should use some notch cutters or something to try and clean some of that around there, but can I get in there with a saw? So the issue is most of the larger roots are in this area. Now this will at least allow me lean forward quite a bit, which I don't really want. I'd like it to be sitting more like this. I would like to try and cut some of that out. Try it from the other side. I'm afraid I'm going to cut this root when I do it. Maybe I can try and swoop out. I'm just trying to comb out as much of the moss as I can. Keep finding little bits deep in there, which makes sense. This all grew in moss right away as I was doing the air layering. Don't know how much necessarily I need to get at all, but yeah, look at that. It's just everywhere in there. Trying to be a little bit more gentle in this area because, of course, there would hopefully be, see, here's some nice new root growth near the surface, so perhaps there's still some hope. More moss. I almost feel like I need tweezers or something. getting a little bit blustery out. So it naturally wants to sit back this way a bit, which is unfortunate because I want this to be the front based on these cuts. Mind you, if this whole branch were to die, all we would have is this. It does allow me to get more substrate tucked in underneath there. So I'll mount it towards the back a little bit. I don't know how this is going to sit in the pot that I want it to put it in. I want it to put it in a training pot. Oh yeah, totally fine. Okay, good. I'll leave it quite low to develop more of these front-facing roots. I'm going to trim off some of these, which don't even know if they're alive anyway. Do bit of a coarse layer towards the bottom there. So I don't want it to be too much higher than that. But I do want to have a mound for the stump to sit on. I'm a little worried about getting how you're going to get the material that's in there, because I won't be able to maybe tuck it through from above. Maybe I will. Alright, so thread that underneath. I feel like that's all moss still. Oh my god. There's moss everywhere. And then this one. I'm going to try and leave the front open as much as possible. is obviously the part I'm worried about, is trying to get them in underneath the stump. A little worried about how long this has been out for. I'm going to just give it a quick rinse.
here is my cherry tree.
Sadly, I lost my microphone by this point, but here we are looking at the finished product. I'm hoping that after removing that rotting stump from below the soil and getting rid of all that wet moss from the soil mass, switching to an inorganic mix, will hopefully reduce the moisture levels and allow this tree to develop a healthy root system, and hopefully that will help promote the overall health of the tree. Thanks again for watching.